Hello, lovely people, and welcome to the third episode of Distinct and Jovial. My name is Dominic, and I am joined by my absolute wonderful co-host, Jerry. How you doing this morning, Jerry?
It's the morning.
It's full Barry White this morning.
Full Barry White. This is an ungodly hour, especially for a bank holiday weekend. But I'm good. I'm fired up.
Let's do it. It is the 28th of August, 2021. We're recording this one a lot later because we've both had holidays, which is not bad. I think we're going to go into a discussion about that later on in the podcast.
Yeah.
And as we've alluded to, it is the morning. So normally we record this at 10 o'clock. It's currently 20 to 8, but it's it's the morning, so we may not be as fired up. But that's okay. We'll see how this podcast comes out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You look nervous, Jerry, today. You look nervous.
I just don't do mornings, Tom.
It's
not nervousness. It's just my body fighting the fact that my brain's forced it to wake up at 6:30 on a bank holiday weekend. So there's a big struggle taking place now.
Yeah,
we're going to be talking battles at some point in the future, but there is a big battle taking place now.
Yeah,
where my body's saying, damn it, we need to go to bed. What are you doing? And my brain's saying, come on, we need to be up. We have to record this podcast. My body's saying, I don't want to. And my brain's saying, you have to.
Yeah.
My body's saying, I really don't want to do this.
It'll
my
be
brain's saying, just stop being such a ninny.
It'll be the 3 p.m. crash, where you'll be like, oh, I just want to take a nap now. That's when you're going to struggle.
Yeah, that'll probably kick in about 10. As soon as we finish this podcast. Yeah.
Oh dear. Cool. We have a similar agenda as we normally do. We kind of do things in a little bit different order. So this is a bit of like our third podcast. We're doing a bit of an experiment for everything, aren't we? Really, aren't we?
Yeah.
First morning recording and first switching some stuff around based upon a little bit of feedback and just I think some natural flow. So we'll see how it goes.
Lateral flow, did you say?
Natural flow. I've done more lateral flow tests in the last 3 weeks. I think I've been saying that I've done so many now that I've shoved the stick up so hard I can confirm that there's nothing in the brain. There's nothing in there. I've been wiggling it around. Can't find anything.
Cool. Excellent. I would even say wow, but then I'd have to follow that up with a wow. Oh, for the benefit of everyone listening. So I've just done it again. I said so as well. So I noticed that I say two things repeatedly. One of them is so. I'll start a sentence, say so. And I said wow a lot. So I agreed with Dom that I have to try and improve my podcast etiquette. So every time I say wow, Dom's going to have to remind me.
Wow.
And then we both say wow.
The Owen Wilson.
Like Owen Wilson.
Wow. Very disappointed he never said that catchphrase throughout the Loki recording TV series, which is now finished. And as a normal note, everything that we do say, as we've already gone off on a tangent, is completely our own opinions and do not represent the company that we work for, as we work for the same one. And we'd still like our job by the end of it.
Yes. And also anything that we do say can and will be used us in the court of law. We have the right to remain silent. We have the right to an attorney. We have the right to a coffee of our choice. Beverage of our choice.
Beverage of our choice, definitely. Yes.
Coffee shop.
Whichever one you want.
Whichever one you want.
Shall we direct this conversation before
Let's
we get too delayed?
Let's do it.
Food of the month. This one's going to be, I think we'll try and make sure that we don't end up with a rant.
Yes, definitely.
I wonder what you're doing.
So I'm doing like a timeout thing because I was just going to point something out.
Yeah.
So when you tilt your head, the voice fades.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure to correct that. That's all right. We can keep it in the podcast.
Can we?
Say. Yeah, just say.
This isn't going in outtakes. Okay.
No. Just say. I think it's the good thing. I must have the mic a bit sensitive today, or non-sensitive. I'll try and do this. Is this?
That's better.
Ooh. Have I got the mic the right way around?
I don't know. Is it upside down?
Oh, I know what I've done here. That's probably better. I probably need to be at this angle more, don't I?
If you move across that way.
Me?
Yeah.
That way?
No, the other way.
Is it better that way?
Yeah, much better that way.
Okay, I've got the mic backwards. Oh, this morning is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, well. Right, I'll try not to tilt my head too much then. Right,
Don't
Pete.
move, Dom.
Don't move. I won't move. I'm now statue. Pizza. Probably the best food known to man. We'll start with the topping. What's your go-to topping?
Pepperoni.
And then pepperoni.
Yeah.
Are you a barbecue man as well?
No.
Okay.
Some of these are going to be very succinct because some of these things don't need an explanation. So you're talking about barbecue sauce instead of tomato sauce.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, really? This is not what they did in Italy. This is not how it was invented. And somebody's just gone and said, yeah, I've got a great idea. Let's replace tomato sauce with barbecue sauce. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No. Tomato sauce, pepperoni, bosh. Job done.
Cheese.
Yeah, and cheese.
Oh, okay.
And pizza base.
Yeah, just
I
give
find that
me the
usually
pepperoni. Isn't that just a pepperami?
I think it is.
If
Smothered in ketchup
there's no
and
pizza
cheese.
base. Ketchup. What the heck? Oh, man. No. Oh, dear. Maybe we shouldn't have recorded this in the morning.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm hysterical already. So what's your pizza topping of choice?
See,
And
I like
base?
I like a margarita. I prefer to have almost as little on. But I was like writing notes on like pizza, and like I mentioned, I said it's probably the most perfect food. Like, name a food better than pizza. I can't think of one. And everyone will be like, oh, curries, maybe up there, or perhaps like, pastas and things like that. But my argument with pizza is, in theory, you could put anything on it. And I mean, like, if you wanted a curry flavored pizza, why couldn't you do that? You can get tomato based curries. You're looking at me as if I'm so.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue the point. You can put whatever you want,
except
Chocolate.
pineapple.
You will come to that. You can put anything you want, Dom, apart from one thing.
Which is pineapple on pizza.
Category of fruit. Let's just open this up a bit.
Go for it.
Pineapple being a fruit.
Yes. Can you think of any other? I can't think of any other fruit. Technically, right, here's where we go for the technical. Tomato
I've got
is
a list.
fruit.
Funny you should say that.
Oh,
No, let's not get technical about that. Tomato's tomato. It belongs in a pizza, right?
Yeah.
But I've got my list. Let me consult my list.
Okay.
Melon?
No.
Right. And I mean, by melon, it could be watermelon, honeydew melon. You just wouldn't put it on pizza. Orange segments.
No, you wouldn't put that on pizza.
Right. Grapefruit segments.
No.
They kind of go side by side. Grapes.
No.
Okay. Would you put sliced banana on a pizza?
Uh...
I can't believe. Why are you even thinking about this?
Well, so okay, like, so bear with me 2 seconds. So, like, when I think I actually googled this, like, what is the definition of a pizza? And the reason why I'm so against barbecue sauce is because officially the definition of a pizza is tomato and cheese.
Yeah.
And a dough of some kind, obviously the base.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you can make. And I was like, okay, so I think is it. Pizza Hut, it might be Domino's, well, they may both do it. They make a sweet pizza, so the base has got, like, sugar in it when they make it, and then the bottom is
Biscuit
Nutella.
base, like a
No. It's still like a dough.
cheesecake.
It's more like a pastry, like you'd have like a cinnamon swirl type pastry, and then you'd have. and then they put like Nutella on the bottom, and then the toppings are like bananas, chopped nuts, and scoops of ice cream. Now, technically, that's more like a waffle than a pizza, but I suppose could you class that as that?
No. No. Why? This isn't good for my blood pressure. No.
It's too early to be getting your blood pressure.
Too early. Too early.
Definitely.
It's not right, Dom. We need to move on.
We need to move on. And then, so my other question would be, what's your base type to go to?
Thin crust.
Oh, your thin crust. Stone baked, proper wood fire pizza.
Yeah, I don't know what stone baked means, but it
No, I
sounds
don't
great. So yeah, stone baked as opposed to, I don't know,
Oven baked.
gravel baked. I don't know. What? Tarmac baked. I don't know.
I've now just got like images of a collection of like of people in like hot places where they're like cooking eggs on like tarmac.
Yeah, or on the bonnet of their car, they're frying
Yeah.
eggs. Oh yeah, egg on a pizza.
No, that's wrong.
Yeah, okay.
I've only recently come to start liking eggs. I didn't used to like eggs at all. For me, egg on another meal doesn't feel right.
Well,
Right?
It's like fruit on a meal.
Yeah, like I have the equivalent opinion of eggs on meals as you do like fruit on or in other things, like fruit and nut chocolate. Is, you said there's just a no, and there's a no, and I agree. Like putting raisins in a curry just feels wrong.
Exactly.
But I feel the same about that with eggs. Like if I'm gonna have scrambled egg and toast, that's a meal in itself. I'm not putting egg on top of another meal. But there's people that will put like an egg on top of gammon, and it's like, well, why? I just want the gammon. I don't get it.
Oh yeah, some people almost use it like a garnish, don't they?
Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
No, it's not right.
And I'm not a big fan of what's it called? Egg fried rice.
Oh, I quite like egg fried rice.
It just doesn't sit with me well. I always feel gives me a dodgy tummy, I think, as well. But
Okay.
too much information there, people.
But it's out there now.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, yeah,
To our millions and millions of listeners. Can I just say
yeah.
that it does bug me though when I look on a Chinese takeaway menu or a restaurant menu. It says egg foo young. So foo young is omelette. Foo young is so the name foo young is
Oh yeah,
basically egg.
yeah. But that happens all the time.
They go egg foo young, so it's
Egg.
egg.
Yeah.
It's like in Asda. Asda sold these things. They were lovely. They were so tasty. But they called them potato alus. Alu is potato.
So potato.
So I used to call them potatoes.
But that's we do the English seem to do that everywhere. So Sahara Desert, Sahara is desert. So there's a Sahara Desert is desert. There's loads of there's loads of examples like that.
So you could be in the middle of the Sahara Desert eating egg foo young and potato alus. That'd be great.
I'm eating potatoes
Yeah.
with eggs in the desert.
It's almost like a parallel universe thing going on.
And this people, welcome to why the English language is very difficult. And I'm very glad I was a native speaker. Oh, interestingly, complete diversion. I mentioned my name obviously at the beginning of the project as Dominic, and I was in some of the inclusivity and the diversity stuff that we've been talking about. I was trying to work out what the pronunciation of my name is, which sounds, bear with me. I'm going off on a complete tangent from where we've gone.
Okay.
And it's just to do with
Let
the
me
English
just
language.
consult my notes.
It's not here.
Oh, it's not on there.
I'm just going off at a tangent. And so I was trying to write out how I would say my name. And so it's like Dom, as in rhymes with bomb, and then in, and then ick, I-C-K, as in ick. I have the ick. But I was saying this, so Dom in ick. And then I was like thinking about how I say it, and I was just saying my first Dominic very quickly. I don't say that. I say Dom Min Nick. So I was like, I put an extra M in my own name when I pronounce my own name. Just another weird fact about the English language that just suddenly came to my mind while we were discussing that.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, you can have Dom Min Ik in the middle of the Sahara Desert, eating potatoes, egg foo young, with Boutros Ghali.
Okay.
Who's the Secretary General of the UN.
Okay.
Stage.
Boutros Ghali.
Boutros Ghali. Yes.
Right. Where is this conversation gone?
Honestly, I haven't even researched this. I had no idea we were going down this route.
No, I've got 4 lines for this, which is like favorite pizza topping. I've put discussion on pineapple and pizza, but then I've just written Jerry will just say no.
Just say no. And
then type of crusts, which you said, and then we got onto the stone baked bit, tarmac bacon, and stuff like that. But I like a doughy. I like stuffed crusts pizzas, where they put extra cheese in. Cheese is like the nectar of the gods.
Yeah, of course, because there's not enough dairy on the pizza. I think it's always good to cram in a bit more.
I always said if I ever became lactose intolerant, just put me down.
Okay.
Just do that.
And then make a note.
just put me down.
I'll just have to write.
Bearing in mind that I know that my mum has now listened to these podcasts and that she was giving feedback on some of them, and one of the comments she said, "I know you're my son, but you're just weird." And I was like, "Not sure."
That's where you can blame me. Jerry's a bad influence. I didn't want the podcast to go this way at all.
No, she said Jerry sounds like a reasonably sensible man.
Oh, really? She clearly doesn't know me.
But I think she's realised that I'm quite weird, which is good.
Weird's good. I like weird.
She says, and there was a couple. She says, "I've not brought you up like that."
Well, this is now turning into a therapy session.
I know. Well, it's probably going to be like that in our next topic when we discuss our holiday. Shall we jump into that? The holiday.
Go for it.
So, this podcast has been recorded a little bit later than we would have liked, and perhaps a little bit last minute. Lastminute.com. And hence why we're doing it in the morning, because this was the only time that we could find. So we both went on holiday and had very different experiences of our holidays. We went on holiday separately, I'd like to point out, to different things.
Yes.
I had 2 weddings, fortunately no funeral, and then I went away camping with the taekwondo group that I'm with. And you, Jerry, I believe the phrase that you said was "did nothing."
Yes. In the context of, so I'm going to do air quotes, I was on holiday. I did do a lot, but they weren't really holiday things. So okay. I really wanted to go to the Isle of Wight. That didn't happen.
Okay.
I wanted to have a lot more lunches out and walks in the New Forest, and none of that happened. I ended up decorating downstairs bathroom, assembling flat pack, which when my wife, here's a test to see if she listens to these. Stop buying flat pack. Listen to me now. I've had enough. 20 years of assembling flat pack. You've pushed me to my limit. Enough. So yeah, but I did one nice thing, which was I went to a wedding reception on the Thursday evening of that week off. So
we've both done weddings.
Yes.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, like for me, like the weddings that I went to were, so the first one, the first wedding I went to, I was one of the groomsmen, and my friend who was getting married, he actually was going around and introducing me as. So I thought his brother was his best man, but the way that he introduced us was my brother and my best man. So we kind of both had titles, which I thought was quite nice.
That was nice.
And actually helped me because it gave me like a title, because I didn't know anybody there. And it's quite frustrating with the pandemic, because I've not actually, because they've only been together sort of 4 years, and nearly 2 years of that has been pandemic. So it was difficult because I've only met her once, and it was early in the relationship, and then not really met her since.
Right.
So I didn't know any of her family very well at all. Didn't know any of his work colleagues from the army. We won't go into that because I'd like our podcast to not be cancelled, because politically correct doesn't come into into like army colleagues quotes. Can feel the flames of hell already licking my feet. But it was, what was interesting with having a title was being able to be introduced. But man alive, that first one was hard, because like the ability to be social just didn't exist. And there's the first voice crack. I've just heard it. I'll explain that to the viewers.
Yeah,
I'll explain to the viewers in a minute. Okay. And it meant, by like 10 o'clock, I was knackered. I was knackered. But also, it was like, how do you do small talk again?
Yeah, it was a real eye opener for me, because I've been locked away in the house for 2 years, and I've been fine with that, because I'm an only child, so I'm used to my own company. So that self-isolate, and I'm an introvert, right? So you put all of that together, self-isolation, bring it on. But I do like socializing as well, albeit I do find it absolutely knackering. So it completely drains my internal battery. I don't draw energy from socializing. It pulls energy out of me. And yeah, I really struggled when I went to that wedding. I actually ended up speaking to the bride a few days later to apologize, and she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Look, I was just so awkward. It was really difficult. I didn't realize just how much this pandemic has affected me, because I almost had a bit of an anxiety attack. It was like an ongoing, very mild anxiety attack that I was having throughout the whole evening."
I agree. It's like a mild state of like consistent panic the whole way through.
Yeah, exactly that.
Just a slight elevation in the heart rate. Not like I'm, my normal resting heart rate is is sort of 54 or something like that. But I was sort of in the 80s, just constantly.
Yeah, well, my resting heart rate's in the 80s, so my resting heart rate at that wedding was about 210, 215, hovering around that level. It was, but very uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. I don't know how long it'll take me, if ever, to be able to get back to a pre-COVID state of mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and on a similar, I think we discussed it earlier in the week. So for context for the viewers or listeners, I should say, not viewers, we are part of like a program within work where we get together and discuss like inclusivity and just general like well-being and change. And I don't think we got I think ear bashing is the wrong term. I felt a little bit like, I've triggered something here, and with some of the colleagues, but it's a safe space, so I felt comfortable in discussing it with there. It's one of those things where we're probably going to go into offices and back into the office with this pandemic reducing. We're going to be put into these more social situations, and I don't think, I know I personally probably haven't done enough. I've kind of just blased and gone, yeah, it'll be fine, whatever will happen. But actually now I'm gone, oh no, maybe it isn't. Maybe this is a little bit more difficult than I thought.
Yeah,
exactly to just kind of jump in. And where I had 2 weddings, so I had one wedding where I knew nobody, and I had an elevated heart. I mean, at one point my heart rate was 180, but I also had to give one of the best man speeches. So public speaking, even though I don't mind it, it was actually quite nerve-wracking to do that. So I ended up obviously with a slight kind of there. But what was interesting is the second wedding, which I had. So the first one was I did that one and had a week of work, and then I had the first Friday off. I did the second, and it's a wedding reception rather than a full ceremony, so less energy draining. I mean, the wedding, we got up at okay. Hang on, let me tell this story because this story will make you laugh. So I arrived on the Thursday. I'm a little bit tangent here, and walked into the room with like the two kind of main. Like bride and groom and their like close family. Sat down and we're just talking, and actually thought I was, the father-in-law, or the father of the bride, actually said at the end of that evening, I'm really nervous about my speech tomorrow because Dom, you can hold an audience when you talk. Like you walked in and you had and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. It's a really nice compliment for somebody to pay you. Anyway, it turned out that the groom, my mate, hadn't arranged a separate room for himself the first night to stay away from his bride.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, his mother was like, look, he's in the army and he's a boy. Like, he'll do whatever. And he'd been telling everyone he's going to stay in my bathtub. I'd like to point out this wouldn't be the first or the second time that he would have stayed in a bathtub in a place that I was at. But yeah, in the end, he bought all his the stuff that he needed. His suit. In the army, he wears. They call it their wands, so it's like a black suit with a maroon band. And he looked fabulous, by the way. But yeah, he came into my room with all the stuff and slept in the bathtub. We were fortunate that in the cupboard there was actually 2 spare king size duvets. So annoyingly, I forgot to close the curtains. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun was on my face, and I woke up. He had a great night's sleep in the pitch black bathroom. He said he woke up. I was like, I feel quite comfortable.
That's ironic.
Yeah, I was mine. It was sort of, that's slightly annoying. But then we got up at 6 o'clock. We went for a run. Rushed back trying to get back in because we got back about 10 to 7. It's like, oh, the bride's coming down at 7 o'clock. Quick, get him back upstairs, and then we can come down at 8 for breakfast. And it was just a massive kind of flim flam, and I don't do flim flam. And then the rest of the day was normal. Kind of, we went down for breakfast, come back at 9, get changed for photographs. We had getting changed photographs at 11, which is always a bit weird. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that one. But then, ceremony 11:30 till 12:30, and witnessed all signatures. Lovely day. And there were a few light-hearted moments during the ceremony, which kind of made it less serious. So one of the bridesmaids, she did stumble on the way to the aisle. There was a lump in the carpet, and we all saw it and we were all going to leave it. And she'd been saying all the night before she was going to stumble, and she did. And that just kind of put, and then he put out the wrong hand, and then when he did put out the right hand, she put it on the wrong finger, and put the ring on the wrong finger. So, but it was these things that made it personable. But it meant that because I've been on the go since 5 o'clock in the morning when the sun was across my damn face because I didn't close the damn curtains, and I did the speech at 5. I was literally hanging on for 8 o'clock for him to do the cake cutting. They did the cake cutting, and I was like, right, I'm going to dance for an hour. I lasted an hour and a half. I was like, I'm going to bed. I'm done. Whereas the second wedding reception, I knew everybody, and it was just a wedding reception. So we got there I think I got there about 5. Yeah, 5. And then I was able to sort of more last to sort of 11:30, and I wasn't quite so tired, things like that. So it was quite considering I was doing the same thing, it was a little bit of a chalk and cheese kind of moment.
We're back to cheese and dairy.
I know. Yeah, back to cheese and dairy.
Yeah, it's. I am concerned about getting back to this, what everyone's calling normality again. Because I don't know what normality is. So going back to the office, for example, and just generally socialising in an office environment. I say socialising, but just speaking to colleagues and having all of that, the hullabaloo in the office. Am I going to be able to deal with that? I think my nerves were a bit frayed anyway,
Yeah.
pre-COVID, because there was so much. Yeah, I love it when an office environment's quite frenetic, and it's a bit like a trading floor of a on the Nasdaq or on the FTSE, and you've got all this activity, and everyone's like, yeah, release code, release code,
Release the Kraken.
Line.
No, don't
release the Kraken. Don't do that. Oh, that's on the other line. Screaming into
Rain
the
the
other line,
Kraken
quick,
in. Rain the Kraken in.
Hold the Kraken back. Release the code.
That's an internal
Leash
joke
the
that we
Kraken.
can't explain.
Yeah, we can't explain that one. So I love all of that. And going back to that, though, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cope. What's changed is me.
Yeah. Or this is an interesting. I think yes, we've changed, but I also think you become rusty, like you lose skills. It's the same as if I stop taekwondo for 2 months, when I come back, it's like, oh, body doesn't quite coordinate, and for small talk and things like that, it's a bit weird. There is one positive thing that I did think about and actually kind of used a couple of times with my best mate at the second wedding. He's absolutely fabulous and I love him to pieces. He's really easy to talk to, but there's a couple of people there that are really energy draining. So admittedly, we did go and hide for like an hour. We were in this big garden, so we went and had a couple of drinks and just chilled for a bit, decompressed. What was interesting was the poignant questions that we ask in the podcast, because we talk to each other, and normally I come away energized from these because we've had a deep discussion. So I find that introversion and extroversion is not quite so clear cut. It's sometimes about who you're with.
True.
Finding small talk like how's the weather, and things, what, there's always this traditional what are you up to, how's life, etc., etc. And some people are oversharers, some people are just like it's fine, and they can be equally as frustrating. Yeah, but using some of the poignant questions that we've got to just go, okay, what's your opinion? And weirdly, the only one I can remember from last time is ironing, which is probably the least interesting one that we've got on there. But it was a conversation starter, and then as you can see, both myself and you seem to be able to. Well, we go off on tangents, so and then depending on the person you're interacting with, it can grow and go through there. So that's why I'm really proud of this podcast, because sometimes it's an ability to. I was thinking about this. It's an ability to practice deeper, meaningful conversations without having to resort to small talk.
Exactly. I agree. When we were talking about this, recording this session, we said we did want to. It's not just about having a laugh all the way through it. I mean, I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this, and we are going to continue to have, in a future podcast, are going to have segments where we have some quite deep and meaningful conversations. But I mean, there's nothing more I can really say with regards to where I'm at mentally. But definitely one that we should pick up again in the future. Yeah. I think I suppose the highlight for me, and the reason why I was keen for us to talk about this, and I'm glad that we are, is just for anyone listening out there. Just don't beat yourself up about the fact that you might not be dealing with certain situations that you found a lot easier pre-COVID that you don't now. I wasn't expecting it. It caught me unawares. I realised just how rusty I am, and that's fine. What can you do about that? You just have to sort of get back into a stride, get back into a rhythm as things get back to normal. But things will never. But again, I've just said it again. That when things get back to normal, what does that even mean?
What does normal mean?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I can pick this up a little bit more. So in my second week, I went camping with the Taekwondo folks, and it's the first time that I'd done it solo. So I didn't have two of my best friends with me, kind of sharing equipment. So although I've got this behemoth of a truck, it was floor to ceiling, and I was still trying to get things in. I must have looked ridiculous at 6 o'clock in the morning outside my flat on a Sunday trying to stuff a duvet into the top of my car.
I don't think that was it. I think it was the fact that you were dressed as Han Solo. People are like, okay, are you off to Comic Con or
So,
sorry.
just threw me completely, but that's brilliant. But the week that I spent most of it with my my specific instructor and his fiance, and she is a ridiculously clever woman. So she's Polish, and I think she's got 2 PhDs, and she did one. I believe she did one in Poland, and then she did one in Hungary, in Budapest. So again, 2 PhDs across. And then she's in the psychology unit in Southampton, and she's like one of the heads there. She's doing something else in Bournemouth, and she's going to kill me, but I'm really sorry I can't remember all of the details because she's just so much. But she also runs a private, her own private kind of therapy practice. And have you ever, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but have you ever just spoken to almost like a person who has the most perfect eloquence when it comes to conversation? Because, so I've had this twice, really. One was from somebody giving a presentation, and one was from this lady. Because she deals with like trauma and she does therapy all the time. It meant that her conversation was always like perfect, and she was constantly we ended up with a little joke. She used to occasionally go, by the way, this one's free. Like, and every now and then I would
received the bill yet.
Yeah, every now and then I would go, are you going to invoice me for this last like half an hour? And I hope not, because she's expensive. But the point being, like, the way that she was discussing, and one of the points that I've written down is, we were told a lot before, and this might resonate with you, Jerry, that we need to take a holiday. You know, you need to do this, you need to do that. And every time I used that word, she would tell me off is the wrong phrase, but she would say, no, you need to rephrase and reframe it, which is a lot around CBT and how you deal with anxiety, depression, and loads of other things. You don't need to do anything. You deserve a holiday. And just by putting that different spin, going from you need to do that to you deserve a holiday, I think about halfway through the camp that I was on, where I'd been going, I need this holiday, but you know, my attitude had changed a little bit. I'd definitely relaxed, and I think that's why I've come back from the holiday perhaps more fresh than yourself, because I had that attitude change about, do you know what, I actually do deserve this holiday. You know, we've been in this pandemic. I haven't left my flat properly, really, in about 18 months. I'm on a field in Croyd. I'm overlooking Croyd Bay. It's beautiful. I've got a cider. I'm around a barbecue and I'm eating meat. And it's like, and I do deserve this. You know, it's been hard. I've lived on my own. I've had a job promotion, which I've worked, you know, hard for. And it's very difficult when you want to remain humble, but also kind of go, but I have done all right, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it does. Absolutely. And I'm going to, and thank you for sharing that insight, because I agree that you do deserve it. And I'm going to remember that. So next time my wife orders another flat pack furniture set, and I'm trying to assemble this thing, and I'm 6 hours into it, and I can feel, and those are 6 hours of my life I'll never get back, and my blood pressure's through the roof. I think, you know what, I deserve this.
No, if it's negative, you don't say you deserve that.
Clearly I've done something wrong.
Yeah,
I deserve this.
How did my therapist put it? He said something along the similar lines. You don't ever need to do anything. Because I was like, I need to like read this book. I need to do more press ups. I need to do more taekwondo. It's like, no, you don't. You want to do that, or you deserve to do that. You know, it's
a subtle mindset.
Yeah, it's a subtle mindset change.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting. it was a fantastic conversation. And at one point, and my instructor has been brilliant to me. You know, when I reflect back on it, I can't lie that there's times where the banter within a sports team, sometimes gets too much for someone like me who's not particularly masculine. You know, there's all this a bit kind of all laddish behaviour, and there's been times where I've been intimidated, and it gets exhausting. But it was absolutely fantastic on camp, and she was brilliant. And there was one point, it was on the Tuesday, we actually went out to a pub for a meal, and she captured a couple of photos of us where we're just generally talking without really us knowing, and it was just at the point where I proper belly laughed, like a proper kind of I've got no control, if I keep going I'm going to end up crying type laughter. And we're very jovial on here, but like a proper like deep booming kind of, that's brilliant, that was so funny. And I think that just is the type of, that's definitely the medicine that we all need, I think, just that ability.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to laugh. That's the other thing. Regardless of what's going on, you have to try and extract as much humour out of situations and things as possible. So, I'm genuinely traumatised by the flat pack. We're laughing about it, but I'm genuinely at the end of my tether. With flat pack. But I still laugh about it.
I know my mum's going to say, "Oh, does that mean that Jerry likes going to IKEA?"
No.
That would have been a poignant question that we could have done. Do we both like going to IKEA? The answer is no.
No. We'll put that one to rest.
Well, no, and I could give reasons. The shop's not organised enough, and you have to follow a route, which means if I suddenly want to go over to that aisle, I can't. The trolleys never work. People just mill around too much, and the meatballs are overrated.
Oh, I don't know. I love the meatballs. Actually, to be fair, I do like IKEA. I don't like going to IKEA. If I went to IKEA on my own, I'd enjoy it.
Okay.
Because if I go to IKEA, every time I've been to IKEA, I've gone with my wife, and we end up buying more tea lights. Why are we getting more tea lights? I've got a shed full of tea lights. We don't use the tea lights. We didn't need any more tea lights. And now we're walking out with another 4 bags of tea lights.
Oh, man.
So it just makes it very stressful. Like I say, this will be a test to see if she listens to this.
Yeah. She's going to return from whatever shop she goes to next, and she's going to put a bag of tea lights on.
Yeah.
And
two things that she does. She won't. If she had a choice, you say, "Look, would you like this coffee table that's already assembled? You don't have to assemble it. It's just a really nice coffee table, or this coffee table that consists of about 48 different parts, which you have to assemble. Which one would you like?" And she'll say, "Oh, I'll go for the one in 48 parts." She also likes to hang everything up on a wall. She can't get something that's just freestanding, which is also annoying. So we've got more hulls than wall in this house, because there's just so much hanging up that you cannot see any wall space. And if there is a sliver of wall space, my wife will order something and say, do you mind just hanging that up? Where? Well, if you just drill, you've got about 3 centimetres of gap in that wall. Just drill there, hang it there.
Dear.
It's the most frustrating thing. And don't worry, we don't have load-bearing walls anymore, or this whole house at one point is just going to topple under the weight of all of the stuff that's hanging on the walls. Man. Anyway, I'm just going to step away now.
Because you're going to end
Jerry.
up episode 3 and episode 4 discussing Jerry's divorce.
Send me your bill.
That
was that I feel a lot better now. I've got that off my chest.
This was free.
Thank you. I was going to negotiate payment terms, but if it's free, that's fine.
We talk a lot about our health. Should we move on to just the improving our health section? Because
yes.
Obviously we had this challenge to read 10 pages of a book each day. That was our previous one. I'm going to ask. I haven't actually asked at all how you did with it, so we'll start with how you found it.
The book reading.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, I thought you would.
Simples. I love it. I just love reading. I live in Waterstones. I know all the staff there. I'm not kidding. And I've accumulated so loyalty points on my Waterstones loyalty card that, yeah, I just love reading.
So 10 pages a day was easy for you.
Oh,
could you limit yourself to 10 pages a day?
I don't think I could.
Okay.
Actually,
So,
I just love reading. I have to read every single day, and I do. And I have done since I was in my teens.
that's interesting. So remember we were talking earlier about things that we're out of practice of.
Yeah.
So I probably haven't read a book for 7 years. Easy. So this was hard. And I completely failed it, is the honest answer. Like, yeah, there was especially, right, so the first week after we set the challenge, we had that heat wave week.
That's right, yes.
And I remember, and there were times it was like, I was picking up the book, and I was just like, and I'm like spread-eagled on top of the duvet before I go to bed, like, and like, when we say hot, I have a thermometer on my desk, and I saw 40 degrees at one point.
Oh,
which is
brutal.
and I like the heat, but that is hot. So the first week I just couldn't do it. It just was too hot. I was just pouring with sweat, and I was just kind of just kill me. I'm just all that's much easier these days than just trying to. Anyway, so first week, but I put it aside and was like, actually, this week's been a bit of an odd week. And then I had a bit of consistency in terms of I was doing it. And some days it would be like 15 pages, other times it'd be like 5. You know, I was kind of like, I'd read like a couple of chapters, and it depends on the length of the chapters. And what was interesting was I just didn't enjoy it. It felt like a chore, like a really big chore. And that's okay sometimes. Sometimes you know, sometimes that's what you need to do to build a habit. But I don't think I enjoyed the book, and I'll go a bit more depth into the book as well, at all. But on the alternative hand, I still listening to books in the car. I've still got audiobooks on. And when I was camping and I had 2-3 hours to myself, I was actually finding that the thing I wanted to do was not pick up the Kindle to read the book, was actually just to stick my headphones in and listen to a book. And then I could still be spread-eagled with and I was, lying in the sun or, sat on the chair with a cider, listening to a book. And I think there's a little bit of, it's an interesting thing. Like, I just really struggled. And it's not the book. So the one I was reading initially was hard. And Banish my inner critic. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And I've read about sort of half of it. I think I'll go into like how I don't think it's too much of a problem now in a minute. But then I switched to Lord of the Rings, which everybody knows is actually quite hard. It's quite a hard book to read.
It is.
It's really hard to read. I'm like, please, J.R.R. Tolkien, why do you need to describe for a whole page this thing, right? Why do I need to just know what colour his feet was for a whole page? Anyway, I digress. But listening to it, easy as pie. It was brilliant. Like the description and the way that it was read, and the visual imagery I could get from it being like spoken to me flew through it. I read the entire of the Two Towers through the entire in that week, which is like, and the audiobook is 15 hours. So
I think that calls for an Owen Wilson.
Wow. Yeah. So it's not like I've not done any reading. I just think I don't practice reading, and so it felt hard. And then when I was reading, particularly the Banish my inner critic book, I felt pressured to kind of take it in and use it. So it was like, again, it just felt like another kind of chore. So, I mean, I suppose the long and short of it is that I half failed, like, from reading, but didn't fail because I still had books on. That makes sense.
It does. Fair play to you. At least you gave it a shot.
Mm.
I knew this was going to be a walk in the park for me. So since we set that challenge, I'm on my 3rd book.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
This podcast is not sponsored by Owen Wilson, by the way.
No.
It should be, but it's not.
Yes, there's no connection to Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading The Sympathizer by... It's fiction. By Viet Thanh Nguyen. And mind-blowing book. Incredible. And very poignant as well, considering what's going on in Afghanistan as well at the moment.
Okay.
But I think there is something about reading that for me is just it's so important for me. It feeds the soul, it feeds my mind, it feeds my soul. It helps me to process things that are going on in the world around me. It's incredible. This books are so powerful for me.
I think I know what you mean. Do you... This is going to sound a weird question. Do you subconsciously read? So when you're reading, you're not actively using your prefrontal cortex. You can just take in the words, and you can think about other things.
I don't think about other things, but I don't... It's not a strain for me to read, if that makes sense. So
yes.
As I'm reading it, it kind of flows in very naturally into my brain, and then I can very easily build up a picture of what the person looks like, the setting that they're in. So there are things that I do. I think, I don't know if people generally do it. I do it when I'm reading a book. You don't necessarily have to describe anything in detail about the environment, for example, that those characters are in. But I will build that picture. So, for example, there's one scene in the book where the 3 friends are sitting in a marketplace, and there's only one very, very small bit. I mean, it's literally a couple of lines describing where they're sitting in this marketplace, but then I extrapolate that out and just picture where they are and what that environment would be like. So I do that as I read. I almost create the world. It's almost rendering in my mind as I'm reading it, as I'm reading the book. So for me, I find that easy.
You have a good graphics card in your brain.
I do. It needs replacing at some point.
It needs a bit of dust.
Yeah. I need a fan in there as well.
It gets too hot
sometimes. I could never do 2 PhDs.
Yeah.
Right? My brain would just have a meltdown.
Yeah, this lady, she's so clever. But so for me, I have to use my prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of my brain to read. I have to think about it. I can't think. It's an all-encompassing thing for me to do. I can't. And I suspect when you're reading that your subconscious is probably still working away, so you have a little bit more, almost like it's like your CPU isn't running high. Although your graphics cards are running, you're not doing anything. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, so apologies.
I like this. No, but I get it though. I get it.
Whereas my CPU is high, and I don't have a graphics card, so I'm working to read.
If we were to open up the activity monitor whilst you're reading, everything would be top level. You can hear it just churning. Okay.
I'm at max. You can even hear the fans going as I'm reading, and that's why I struggle. That's why I struggled with the reading. It just doesn't come. And I think it's like this the small talk we thing. I'm out of practice. I don't practice reading. Sounds weird. I don't practice reading, but audiobooks.
You do need to practice reading. I know it sounds crazy, but you do. If I don't read for a week or two, for whatever reason it has happened on the odd occasion, it's weird to go back to it, and you have to get into this rhythm. Yeah,
I really struggled. What I will say though, what I did do instead, so I wanted an activity that I wanted to do just before bed, so I didn't have my phone on with me, so my phone's not in the bedroom and things like that. And I think I've mentioned it before, but I stopped it, so I got back into it. Sudoku puzzles, because they're like, and it was much easier to know when to stop, because it's do a Sudoku puzzle, go to bed, do a Sudoku puzzle, go to bed, do a Sudoku puzzle, go to bed. I'm all over that. I'm over that, all over that like a tramp on chips.
You've got to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
You've got to do what's right for you.
Mm.
And if Sudoku's right for you,
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. That's why I was really annoyed in that quiz when I didn't get that bloody Sudoku. That really wound me up.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I thought you would have smashed that out the park.
I'm not good at Sudokus. I like doing them, but I'm not good at them. I'm
Okay.
not very quick, but I can do them. But I'm it's
I can do them. It takes me about 2-3 days, but I'll get through one.
I'm normally about 10 to 20 minutes. What's really annoying is my dad and my sister. They have this ability, and it's so annoying. It winds my mum up as well. So they have this ability that they can just look and go, oh yeah, that one's that, and you just think, well, how have you worked that out? They just can see it. And the other thing that they then do is when you've got all three of them love doing puzzles. Actual like kind of, I've got like 1,000-piece puzzles. Now my mum is very methodical, and she'll be like, okay, this, she'll do the edges, and Dad and my sister will do the edges as well. But my dad, if my mum's doing a puzzle, my dad can walk into a room, pick up a piece, and put it on, and it'll go. And my mum will be like, get out! What are you doing? Get off! It's my puzzle. And she can't do that. She'll have to do like, I'll try this piece. There's a logic. There's still a few that she's narrowed it down, but she can't just see it and it'll go in. Whereas my dad will be like, oh yeah, it's that one done.
Fuddy monsters.
Yeah, exactly. Funsters of the muddy kind. Interestingly, I've written down something, and I'm not sure whether we want to do this. I want to do this, and I think we deserve to try this. Notice I've not used the word need. So I've put as like our next one to do a little bit of meditation. Have you have you any experience with it at all?
Deep breathing exercises, and yeah, I've tried it.
You try it?
Yeah, it's great. I love it,
Okay.
but I don't practice it.
Okay.
And I don't know why. It's stupid. Probably laziness. I do know why. It's laziness. Let's not
beat around the bush.
Let's not beat around the bush. Let's face into this. I'm lazy, but yeah, meditation's great. Yeah, really good.
Should we give it a go then for the next podcast then? I'm not talking like we need to do like an hour.
What, we're going to meditate on the podcast?
Not on the podcast, no.
Silence for 2 hours. People say, you know what? I loved your podcast, but that fourth one, it just wasn't giving anything.
We've got the special on the fourth one. We've got a special on the fourth one.
We do.
I'm looking forward to the next two podcasts, even though we're only recording the third. But I mean, like something like 2 minutes a day, every day, or something like that. Meditation.
Okay, can we take the pressure off though?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Come on, this is my laziness kicking in again.
Well,
no,
say
2 minutes a
say
day.
Say what you were going to say,
a
and I'll see if we agree.
No, I was going to say, do we need to? I don't like the pressure of does it have to be per day, a certain number of times per week, or but that's laziness, Dom. It's laziness. I need to. You're right. What's 2 minutes, for goodness sake? 2 minutes per day. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I have to remember to not do it in the morning or the evening, because I've tried it before. The problem is if I do it first thing in the morning, I fall back asleep. And if I do it in the evening, I fall asleep before I finished.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of specifically do that to make sure that I do it in the middle of the day. And I think it takes is it 61 days to build a habit?
Okay.
Something like that.
Don't know. I didn't realise it was that many days.
Yeah, there's something from Gymshark, which they do a campaign every 1st of January, and it's like 3 months, 2 months, 60-something days, 61, 63, and they set a challenge for you to like use the hashtag Gymshark. Oh, it's Gymshark 66, so it must be 66 days. I've just pulled out like 4 different numbers there, but they were like, do this, do that, do this, do that, and for X number of days.
I think the best time to meditate is when you're on a call with your boss. Literally halfway through, just start deep breathing. Close your eyes. Not deep, especially if you're starting to get a build up of actions.
Yeah.
Oh, Dom, yeah, and I also need you to. also need you to do this.
My
You
manager's
can also
been
pick this up.
manager's on holiday. Been on holiday this week, and she's on holiday next week. And I felt This is gonna make her laugh. I felt comfortable speaking up in our engineering town hall because I knew nothing would be delegated. Because in the last town hall, I spoke up. I said to our head of engineering, I was like, "Oh, we should do X, Y, Z," and she went, he went, "That sounds like a really good idea." To my manager, can you arrange that? And she went, "Absolutely. I'm going to delegate it back to Dom." And I was like, "Hang on a minute, I asked for it. It's come back 1 second to me."
Oh, look, you've come up with the idea. You're going to own that.
Yeah.
You're going to see it through to completion.
Yeah. There's many times I open my mouth and I said, "Don't do it, you idiot, don't do it." Because you just end up with another responsibility. And I'm sure that you've had the same.
I have.
Oh dear. Right. We've had some very serious conversations with a little bit. It's been distinct and with a little bit of joviality.
Indeed.
And I think
That's what it's about.
we've come like quite full circle. Did I say anything more? I got so many notes on this one because I didn't feel like I wrote enough. No, I think I've said most. Oh, I was going to mention about the book that I actually read. Actually, I do want to mention that. All the books that I tried to read, which was the How to Banish Your Inner Critic. This podcast is evidence that we are overcoming our inner critic because we're just doing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the whole book's purpose was about, almost like Nike's catchline, just do it. And I think I've said this story on the podcast before. I always admire you, Jerry, when you were like, "Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it." And then the next thing you do is you text me 2 days later, "Right, I've ordered a microphone." I'm like, "Oh, crumbs, I better get my skates on."
Yeah, I was so fired up by this. I think I'm just going to say that it wasn't a big thing to overcome for me, though. So it wasn't a big thing for me because I was so excited about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when we talked about it, I thought, "Oh, what?" And then I realised how genuinely excited I was about it, because it takes a lot for me to get to a point where I think, "Oh, well, okay, right. I've talked about it, but now I've got to put my money where my mouth is, and it's got to do something now." Right, okay, what's that going to look like? Whereas you and I talked about doing this podcast, I was so excited by it. I thought I'd love to do a podcast with Dom. Like I said to you right at the very beginning, go back to episode 1, I said, don't think I could do this with anyone else. So I was thinking about it and all of the different possibilities, and that, it was almost like a reflex action. Right, went onto the internet, read up about the equipment, did all of that in 2 days. It was...
the inner critic
great.
didn't even, my inner critic
didn't
still
come
shout.
into it.
Yeah, it still shouts occasionally, could you make this podcast better? But I think, we've said it, I like the fact that it's a little bit, like, it's rough around the edges. I think I'm not going to use the phrase that I used in the very first outtake. But, those edges aren't quite crystal, and that's okay. We were talking about my mic not being quite set up. I've put it on backwards is the problem, by the way. It's fine. These things happen. And there's also, I'm looking and I'm going, I'm peaking a little bit on occasions, and it's like, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. First podcast, I was too quiet. I might be too loud on this one, and it's fine.
It's fine.
And that's why actually I got about halfway through the book and I went, I know how to overcome this inner critic already. I'm not being taught anything new, and I think that's what made reading that book particularly hard, when it was like, I'm not learning anything. And
ironically, I think one of the ways to overcome your inner critic is back to exactly what you said, is just do it. So you don't have that thinking time. The more thinking time you give yourself, the more time you give yourself to talk yourself out of whatever it is that you want to do. So if you don't give yourself that time and you just do it, then just get on with it.
And that's another book that I have listened to and actually read. It's called The 5 Second Rule, where Mel Robbins was saying that, when you want to do something, when you have the inkling to do something, you count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then do it, because that counting activates your prefrontal cortex and prevents your subconscious from taking over your brain to put the brakes on. And it's because we hesitate over all the little stuff. You know, we write an email to. I've done it this week. I've written an email to, I don't know, HR and gone, I need this, and then I've gone, and I've hesitated before pressing the button, and it's like, don't be ridiculous. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. You know what's going to happen? What's the worst? What's going to?
I like that, Dom. I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Yeah, the 5-second rule book. When she reads it, she ad-libs a little bit. And it's a little bit Americanized for my liking at times. It's a little bit like a bit yee-haw, which sometimes rattles me as an introvert. But it's a book that I'm not going to lie. I now listen to it. I've probably listened to it about 10 times. The first time I read it, it had me in tears at some of the stories that she was saying about it. But yeah, it's how she's become successful. It's not. She's a very intelligent woman as well. She must have some business now to be able to build these businesses that she's done. But what she's removing is that hesitation to just do it. And I think that's what I should have done more when I reading the book. I hesitated in reading the book and I was like, oh, it's fine. And then I went to bed. Whereas what I should have been doing is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pick up that book. By the time I start, I'm sure it would be fine.
Yeah.
Once you start, it's fine. So, yeah. Wow, we've gone on a tangent. Wow.
We have. Wow. That's great. I'm using that though. I do like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
Shall we go on to poignant questions?
Oh, let's do it.
Right. Poignant question number 1. Single or double cuff shirts? I think you've come up with most of these this time, haven't you? I think you put some of these down.
Double cuff or single cuff was mine, yeah. Inbetweeners, I think, was yours. Dingbats is yours. Wearing sunglasses indoors. Yeah, I'm giving it all away.
Okay.
Sorry. Rewind. Back to, just turn your microphone upside down. And then people have to listen to the podcast in reverse to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, if you listen to this podcast in reverse, it's a secret chant to Satan.
Which is nice. Single cuff or double cuff? Double cuff, definitely. Because you've got a whole world of cufflinks to explore as well with double cuff shirts. You're
going to love this because I know that we want to at some point do our fragrance chat that we mentioned in the first podcast and how I'm not that well educated. So, on things, you're going to love this, Jerry. Absolutely love this. So, I had never worn a double cuff shirt because I didn't even know there was a difference until the first wedding where I was the best man, and his now wife, massive geek, so bought me and Chris Star Wars cufflinks.
Fantastic.
And I was like,
love it.
Oh my God. So now I only ever want to wear double cuff shirts because I want to wear my Star Wars cufflinks.
Exactly. Yes. I love it.
Who needs buttons? Give me cufflinks every time.
Buttons are for wimps.
I watch a YouTuber who does a Minecraft. So this is related. And he's so far into it that like diamonds, which are one of the rarest things, right? And every season he's like, oh, I don't need those diamonds. Diamonds are for peasants. And when you said buttons are for wimps, I just immediately thought of that phrase. Diamonds are for peasants. So, because I'd never worn like that before, I didn't know that was a thing. Only criticism. How do you put on cufflinks? So do you put the cufflinks in first and then put the shirt on? Or do you put the shirt on and then put the cufflinks on?
No, shirt on and then cufflinks.
Okay, that's where I went wrong then. Because I could fit my hand still through because I've got ridiculously small hands.
Right.
With the cufflinks in. So I'd put the cufflinks in both, then slid my hands in, looked at that one and went, yes, nailed it. That one's pointing the right way. Then looked at the other one, bugger. It was pointing the wrong way. So I had to then take it out and put it the other way around.
Yeah, I wear the shirt and then put the cufflinks on.
Okay.
And if you hold the cufflink and the secret is you just loop it through one layer at a time. So you don't have to try and it doesn't have to go, because you'll have, the way that it works, you'll have 4 layers of shirt to go through. Mm-hmm. Right, so just do it one at a time.
Okay.
So easy.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got Star Wars Rebel
Love
cufflinks,
it.
which is the coolest thing ever. And do you remember on the first podcast we mentioned about like feeling good in clothes?
Yes.
So this first wedding, I had a fitted suit, so the shirt was like proper right size. It was a rented, but that's still like 300 quid. But it was fitted, and it's the first time ever that I have looked in a mirror and gone, do you know what, Dom? You actually look all right.
Excellent.
And I had that a little bit of it in confidence. Then my best mate walked in his Army's ones, and I went, yeah, but I don't quite look as good as that.
Okay, but they're number ones. You can't really compete with that.
Yeah.
But a fitted suit, that is awesome.
Yeah. I've learned red is a colour that looks good on me. Red, because I had red cufflinks, and it was more burgundy. It wasn't like bright red. It was a burgundy tie and things. And then we had like flowers that were like kind of burgundy as well. And I just stood back and went, I don't look well. I don't want to criticize myself. I don't look awful. I actually look all right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, good. Embrace it. That's what it's about.
So when on our original discussion about confidence in clothes, I was like, I quite like getting suited and booted.
Excellent. Oh, Dom, I'm hoping this is the first step in a long journey, because that feeling becomes addictive.
Yeah. Now I need to order a new suit, because the suit that I ordered for the other wedding, I ordered it. It's only 2 inches too small around the chest.
Right.
Because I measured my chest, and it's X. And then I ordered it for that, but then you've got to put a shirt and a waistcoat under it. So you're supposed to order 2. And so when I put it on, you can just see the lines on the shirt, and it just doesn't look and it doesn't quite look as crisp.
Okay.
And I didn't think it would make that much difference, but it does.
Yeah.
So it was just an interesting, on our poignant questions, a poignant point.
Good. Yeah, I'm really pleased. Excellent. We've got so much to talk about in this whole area.
Yeah, we could go on forever. We'll probably cover it in our like fragrance type thing.
The fragrance special.
Yeah, the fragrance special. Okay, number 2, the Inbetweeners.
Great. I've only watched ad hoc episodes, so I haven't watched the whole series. But it is very funny. Very funny.
I'm going to be controversial. I don't like the Inbetweeners. I think that the Inbetweeners uses too much cringe comedy. And I get really bad second-hand embarrassment. Really bad. So if someone is mucking up on on a presentation at work, I feel embarrassed for them.
Yeah, I do. But in a comedy setting, though.
No, I can't do it. I had to turn off American Pie.
Yeah, that's awkward.
Because it's so awkward.
That's awkward.
In a level of awkwardness, like American Pie is turn off. In a level of awkwardness in terms of the in-between. Like for me, the Inbetweeners also like highlights my lack of street smarts.
Okay.
Voice crack number 2. And it's just like, it just makes me feel just uncomfortable. So I'm like, no, I can't watch. It hits too hard to home, I think, for me.
Okay, so I like it. For me, that's what makes it, because it does push the boundaries a bit. So you watch it and think, oh, I can't believe he's doing that. Or but for me, that's what makes the Inbetweeners the Inbetweeners. And what makes it so good. Yeah.
I watched the Inbetweeners movie, and I enjoyed that. It was funny. There were parts that were really funny. But have you seen the Inbetweeners movie?
I have, long time ago.
Yeah. Do you remember when they're in the empty dance club and they're dancing over to the girls?
Yes.
So that is the epitome of my nightmares, because and it like, so I've never done like one night stands. I was probably now way too much, really too am I, but I've never done one night stands or pulled anyone at clubs. That's just never been me. I'm always like, I'm gonna go have a nice out, and then I'm gonna go and have a nice night out, and then I'm gonna go to bed, to my own bed on my own, and sleep, because it's just, I feel like
I'm the same, by the way.
Those two things shouldn't be combined.
Yeah.
And that situation with them dancing over it, I was like, it just feels like, no, I don't know what. Yeah.
It's awkward.
Yeah.
It is very funny. It's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it? What is it he calls them on that trip?
Oh.
Pussy Patrol. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That to me is a little bit like that. Like that whole stag do thing is awkward. I've got to organise a stag do for the wedding because we haven't had one yet, and I'm like, I'm not doing that because it just.
No, it's that's another topic as well. Stag. I don't do the whole stag do.
Yeah.
Thing.
Did you do a stag do?
Yeah, I had a stag do. I did it because, it's just the thing to do, isn't it? But yeah, was I comfortable with it? No. I like the restaurant bit. That was pretty cool. Like, you go out and have a nice meal.
Okay.
I like that. But like you, Dom, I've never, when I was in my teens and in my 20s, and I never went. I was always clubbing because I love music, so I was always in clubs. But I used to watch all of my friends around me, hit it off with different girls, and and they definitely embraced the whole one night stand thing, and
yeah,
but that wasn't me. I was always that bloke that's standing on the side of the dance floor, having his beer.
Yeah, and you
Just
mentioned
watching.
about awkwardness at the wedding. That's how I feel, and when that type of thing is going off, I just feel awkward.
Yeah, it is awkward.
Yeah,
It is.
And that's why I think that's why the Inbetweeners, when they use that as comedy, just makes me cringe.
Fair enough.
There are bits of it that are funny. I'm more of like a slapstick kind of humor person. Somebody falling into the sea, that's funny. That's for me. That's funny.
Okay.
For example, so I watched the latest episode of the Grand Tour, and there's one point where Richard's on the boat and he drives the boat off and it's towing something, and he drives it too hard, and the towing thing then tips the boat enough that water starts coming in, then it flips and it sinks. That, crying with laughter, just the way he's like, "Oh no, Hammond, you idiot!" That's funny because it's so ridiculous that you just think, yeah. And when he goes shouts, "My phone's in my pocket."
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah. Oh well. Before I get lynched by the comedy gods, so we move over to number 3.
Yes.
Number 3, Dingbats. Now you love a good dingbat, don't you?
I love it in the sense that I love putting it into our weekly Friday quiz, because I see people getting so much enjoyment from it. But at the same time, some people saying, "Oh, not Dingbats again."
Yeah. You've got there's a few people that are like, "Oh, Dingbats."
For goodness sake, not this again. But I don't. Do I like Dingbats personally? Not really. No, I can't do them. I'm hopeless at Dingbats.
Yeah. That's why you're the quiz master.
That's why I'm the quiz master. I set the questions. I love setting the questions. I love putting together that quiz. It is genuinely a labour of love. I use up my evenings in the week to pull the material together, the content together.
Is that why your wife gets you to do flat pack furniture? Because she doesn't see you for the rest of the week?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I pull together the quiz to get out of putting together flat pack furniture. So you need to do a bit of a flipperoo on that one. But yeah, I love Dingbats in the quiz because it gives people pleasure. Do I derive pleasure directly from Dingbats? No.
Yeah. I'd like to point out the most common phrase. So when we do the quiz for our listeners, I'm in the team that's on with Jerry and another one person that does the quiz with Jerry, sets the questions, and there's a few of us that whenever Dingbats come along, us in that group go, "Oh, Dingbats." knowing that all the other teams, they're all rubbing their hands together going, "Oh yay, Dingbats, this is quite good," and then they join the call and go, "Oh yeah, I love the Dingbats around Jerry."
I know. Everyone loves Dingbats. I don't know why. It's genuinely difficult. And you have to... That whole thing of not overthinking it is not easy.
Yeah.
You have to strip everything back to its basic elements, right down to the core of. Oh no, okay, so it's not that. Why did I just throw that into the mix? No, okay, let's look at the picture and look at this literally.
Yeah.
And I can't do that. I'm no good at that.
So in my notes, I've written, I no longer hate them.
Okay.
But because I get too competitive and I'm not very good at them, that's why I hate it. Because I'm like, it's a round that I know I'm not going to do very well at.
Okay.
Although smashed it this week. No, we didn't, actually. I worked it out. Our team got 44. And the team that came top got 67. And I was like, okay, so they got 50% more than we did.
But it wasn't an easy Dingbats.
It wasn't an easy quiz this week. Well, it was a lot of topics that sometimes we do the quiz and we've had one where the team that I'm on, we smashed it. We were like 10 points clear of everybody.
I remember that.
Just so happened to be stuff that we were good at, and we had a certain colleague who's an absolute genius. We are this person's appreciation society. But yesterday's one we were just even the movies just wasn't good at.
It was a difficult quiz, and you can't be on top form every week either. Everybody, it's good. What I love about the quiz is that you do have different teams winning it each week, and I like that. That's the way it should be. There was a period for a couple of months where there was one team in particular that kept winning it week in, week out. And I thought, I'm going to have to do something about this.
Yeah.
Maybe choose some other topics or topics where it's going to give other teams a bit of a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've done really well. That's what I think. I think you and your fellow co-host on the quiz have done a fabulous job on.
We do put a lot of thought into it. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We think about all the nuances of this. Who's won it a lot recently, and do we need to mix up the topics a bit?
Yeah.
And
and that's what I love about it. I think it's great. It's great.
Thank you.
Number 4, wearing sunglasses indoors. I think this could be quite a quick one. No.
For you, maybe. For you, I would love to do it. So it's not the right thing to do unless you're a fashion designer or an actor, famous actor or actress,
celebrity of some sort.
Celebrity of some sort. You can get away with it. You can't if you don't fit into one of those categories. You can't get away with wearing sunglasses indoors. I would love to rock up. I love sunglasses. I'm a bit obsessive about sunglasses in the same way that I'm about fragrances. I love sunglasses.
You're a very fashionable man, and I think that's a good thing.
Thank you. I like to think I am. My wife just laughs at me, but I do love sunglasses, and I would love to wear sunglasses indoors. And I would happily go to somewhere where I don't know anybody, wear sunglasses indoors, and if anyone questions me about it, I'll say, well, I've got hypersensitivity to light. These are prescription.
No,
don't judge me.
You just be like, you don't know who I am.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? You don't know
do you know who I am?
So I love sunglasses, and I love sunglasses with graduated lenses. That just takes it to a whole new level.
Oh, okay. Oh my god. So this is the thing. I've got so much to learn. There's a whole fragrance thing. There's obviously fitted clothes, and now there's this whole sunglasses thing. Because of my eyesight, I don't own any sunglasses at all. So I assume you have prescription sunglasses and some.
No, because I don't. I only wear these for reading and laptop.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, I've got a pair of Dita sunglasses. Dita Aviator sunglasses. Yeah, not sponsored by Dita. The Japanese, made in Japan, Japanese-made titanium frame graduated lenses. Oh, they're just a thing of beauty.
Oh, okay. Oh, indeed.
They are sunglasses that definitely deserve. Wow. So yeah,
again,
but wearing
not
them
sponsored
indoors,
by Owen
not
Wilson.
sponsored by Owen Wilson. Yeah, but you'll never get away with wearing sunglasses. Nobody can get away with wearing sunglasses indoors. That's insane. But I'd love to do it.
No,
there you go. That lasted a lot longer than you thought.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was just going to be a straight. I've just got written no, full stop.
No. Okay. There you go.
I think. Do you know what? Actually, I'll be honest. I think it's because I'm jealous because I don't. Because sunglasses are just so expensive with my eyesight.
Yeah, there would be. Yeah.
For those who don't know me, I am -4, so I'm like, if I take my glasses off, it's like going to like from like 1080p to like 140 or whatever the bottom is. Whatever the bottom you can get on YouTube is, I think it's about 140. It's like so blurry, it's ridiculous. And if somebody holds their hand up more than sort of 6 feet away, it's just a complete like fuzzy blur. There's nothing around it that allows me to just kind of do it now. Yeah. So I don't own sunglasses. I used to have transition lenses.
Okay.
And you'd probably be thinking, oh, that's a really good idea to, when you step outside, you have transition lenses.
Yeah.
They're an awful idea. Absolutely awful. And I'll explain for 2 reasons. They don't work in the car because it's based on UV, not actual light.
Yeah.
And also, whenever you want to take a photo outside, so glasses frames, not sunglasses frames, but glasses frames, when they're sunglasses, don't look good. Which means, and because, there's always UV, even in winter, whenever you take a picture outside, you have dark glasses and you look ridiculous. So for about 3 years, I have, and you laugh, but I generally take a photo every summer camp for the Taekwondo camping week that I've just been on. And both me and one of my friends had them for about 3 years, and we look at them and they go, that photo looks ridiculous because we just got... It does. It's
almost like sunglasses indoors.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's worse. It's worse than sunglasses indoors because it's like it's dark glasses outside, which is worse than sunglasses indoors. So the best thing I ever did was not have transitions. Because it saves 50 quid per lens. Yay, more money. But also because then it doesn't look ridiculous. It is more expensive to get my prescription in like sunglass frames as sunglasses, if that makes sense, than it is to get transitions.
Yeah.
But I'm like, whatever. I just don't use sunglasses.
Fair enough.
It's what a hat's for.
Fair enough. I do feel sorry for you though.
Yeah.
On that was
that lasted way long.
That was way. Yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you?
No.
Tangents. That's what this is about.
Oh dear. Number 5, odd socks.
Okay, this is a quick one. No.
Oh, thank God.
Odd socks?
No. Oh.
What the hell? We just need to move on. There's nothing more to say. You don't wear odd socks. Simple.
No. I know somebody that found a place you could buy odd socks. You could buy single socks. The only reason to be buying single socks is for people that don't need a second sock. That makes sense. So, they've lost a leg or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is a need to be able to buy individual socks.
And that's fine, and that's different.
But not wearing, like. I don't know if you.
No, my OCD's just kept. No, I can't.
No.
We need to move. We need to move on. I
odd
can't
socks.
handle it.
Done.
No.
Easy. Number 6. I changed this a little bit because you'd written down what is your guilty pleasure song, and I changed it to having/referring to as guilty pleasure songs, because I don't think there's any such thing as having a guilty pleasure song.
Oh, there is. You haven't heard
really?
my guilty pleasure song.
Go on then.
No, you go first.
I don't have one.
Don't you?
No, I listen to what I like purely based upon the energy. I don't particularly care whether that's Little Mix, which is probably something, whether it's BTS, a K-pop band, whether that's Daft Punk,
like Daft Punk.
Trivium, Bullet for My Valentine, who else? Metallica, Iron Maiden, Dizzy Rascal, whoever. Like I don't feel like any song to me is a guilty pleasure song. It's just a song that I enjoy, and if somebody judges me for liking that song, that's their problem, not mine. I will have something from the Greatest Showman soundtrack next to something from like Trivium, which is like a heavy metal band, next to AC/DC classic rock.
Oh, I love AC/DC.
I do like a bit of AC/DC.
What about the Cheeky Girls?
So if I liked that song, I would have it. I don't like that song. It's got no energy for me. It's just pure like an aura. I have an aura with music. It's not always about how energetic it is, but it's got to feel good.
Yes.
Like every song.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah. Go on. What's your song that you refer to as having a guilty pleasure?
It's a great song.
Hit me.
So for me, it doesn't get any better than this as a feel-good song.
Okay.
Katy Perry, Last Friday Night.
Last Friday night. Yeah, that's on my playlist. Yeah, it's great. I got loads of Katy Perry on it.
I love it.
Firework, that's great.
That's also a great song. But
I don't
Last
think it's
Friday Night is...
Last Friday night.
I completely lose myself
Yeah.
when I
sing
hear
it.
that song.
I'll sing it, anything. I don't think it's a guilty pleasure song. It's just a song you enjoy.
Fair enough.
There is only one band now that I used to listen to, which I don't listen to, is very deep. Not personally, but it's purely because the lead singer has been arrested and sent to jail because he's a paedophile. So I don't listen to that band. I'm not even going to mention that band.
No, I know what you mean.
Because
I
I don't-
can't listen to their music either.
Yeah,
Because of
and
that
I used to love their music, but I can't listen to it.
No,
now,
I can't either. For exactly that reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the only time that I refuse to now do something. Unfortunately, to the rest of the band members, but I can't listen to that band anymore.
Yeah,
so.
I can't.
So, but yeah, no such thing as a guilty pleasure song. I'll listen to whatever I want to listen to.
Okay.
Which I think is good. It's good. And Katy Perry's great.
She's brilliant. She's brilliant.
Number 7, electric cars.
I haven't got too much of an opinion on this.
Do you not?
No, I really don't. I don't care. I've just... No. At some point, I'm going to have to buy one.
Mm.
At some point, I'll have to own one. I know that. And then, in the back of my mind, I'll always be thinking, oh, I need to pop out and get some milk. Am I going to run out of battery halfway between here and the co-op? And then what do I do?
Yeah.
And when I think of electric cars, I don't know why, but I always think of Total Recall with Johnny Cab. Hey, welcome to Johnny Cab. So I find the whole thing these self-driving Tesla cars. Johnny Cab.
Oh my God, that's
Remember
amazing.
Johnny Cab?
Yeah.
Oh
God.
I just find the whole thing creepy. What next?
Self-driving cars.
Self-driving electric cars that
brush your teeth for you.
Know. Just there's no point driving anymore. You don't have to pass your driving test because you just hop into a Johnny Cab. You're in a little Johnny Cab.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh dear.
Yeah,
no, it's interesting. I don't know because I don't think you're a big car person, really.
I used to be, but I say I used to be. I do love cars, but I don't like the practical element of having to maintain them and all of the things that come with owning a car, if that makes sense. So years ago, I had an opportunity to get myself an Alfa 155. It was a V6. Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh.
It was a V6. The growl of this engine was just sweet. It's one of those cars I would have bought it, just put it in the garage, and you just rev it up. That's literally the only reason. You just want to listen to this engine. But everything else around it, the electrics, the reliability of literally everything else,
the rust
that's
on
built
the
around
Alphas.
the rust on the Alphas. But they're still one of my favourite cars. But I didn't buy it because I thought I need something that's going to get me from A to B, and I didn't have the money to be frivolous and say, well, I'll get this as a second car, damn it, I'll take it out at weekends and then I've got my sensible car for during the week. So I do love cars, but I kind of force myself not to be too in love with them because they'll hurt me.
Yeah, I know that. Do you know, I know exactly what you mean. Because I am a big car fan, and then my coach actually is the one. He always laughs at me because I turn up in this giant SUV. I've got an SUV because I need the practicality. But I'm a big car fan. I want a 1967 Ford Mustang.
Oh, suits you, sir.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want a big American muscle car from like the 1960s.
An old Camaro or something as well.
No. Yeah.
The Mustang is a
the Mustang's the one I want. I don't want like the British knockoff. I don't want a Capri.
I want nice cars though.
They're were nice cars. Yeah, but I would rather have a V8 than a 1.3 4-cylinder.
Go electric. Actually, there's a company that does conversions, isn't there?
Yeah,
so you can get a Mustang and convert it to electric, but that's again.
And Ford are now using the Mustang name on their new electric car.
That's right.
The Mustang Mach-E.
That's right.
But it's an SUV version of the Ford because that's what makes them money. It's what makes money these days. Don't get me wrong. I'd still love an electric car as well. I think for me, it's funny. My instructor / coach, he had the opportunity. He's had TVRs. He's had the Audi RS3s. He's currently got a BMW 440. So it's like just one down from an M4. So it's just fast enough that it's it'll go, but not so fast that you can't use it, because that's the problem with really, really big cars. I never really had the money to do that because insurance is so ridiculous these days for somebody in the millennial stage where you've got to, I could never get insured on a V8 Mustang for another 5 years, I reckon, despite having, a 12-year clean license. So it's like, I would love to. Again, I've got I'm about as practical as this desk, right? It's just actually this desk is very, very practical. I'm about as practical as a slinky, it's and about as cumbersome as well. And so I've got no ability to fix anything when it goes wrong.
Yeah,
I can't do DIY. I've got no mechanical skills. So if I'm gonna have like an old resto mod, it's gonna have to be like something again that just sits in the garage I can look at, or as you said, rev up, V8 engine, or even the V6 from Alpha.
Oh, fantastic! I
think the appeal for me from electric cars is the thing I hate about cars is filling up with fuel. I hate it. It's the only thing I detest. It's worse in my car as well because I've also got to put in AdBlue, so occasionally I have to fill it up twice. Which is just, not fun.
Okay.
So AdBlue is added to diesel cars to reduce all the pollutants.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every 5,000 miles, you have to get like a 10-litre AdBlue thing and stick the nozzle in and fill it up from that. It's just, yeah. But yes.
One word for you.
What's that?
Johnny Cab.
Oh man, we'll move on from electric cars before we get too silly.
Move on.
Number 8, wall calendars.
I've got no opinion on this whatsoever.
Do you use
wall
one?
Calendar? No.
How do you organise a family time then? Family stuff. How do you know what's going on?
I don't. My wife organises my life for me against my will.
Does she have a planner?
She has a diary.
Ah, okay.
And then I'll say, for example, I'm recording. Here's a prime example. Oh, by the way, so Friday night, Dom and I are recording our 3rd podcast. Oh no, we're going to Russell's on Friday night because we've got friends coming over at the weekend, so the birthday party's been brought forward a day. I'm sorry. You're telling me this 2 days before? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Great. So my life is not my own. She organises my life. She just tells me where I need to be, what time I need to be there. I'm just there. The only freedom that I have is the clothes that I wear.
Which is why you have so many good ones.
Yes, I'm trying to embrace that freedom. much as possible.
And plenty of fragrances,
Plenty of fragrances, yes.
which smell horrible.
I don't care.
Sex Panther.
Sex Panther. It's made from bits of real panther.
60% of the time, it works all the time.
Every time. Okay, but that doesn't make sense.
It's an interesting, because I think we've said about this dynamic, because I live on my own, so I don't have a wall calendar. I have it on like a Google, so I can just access it. What am I doing that? What am I doing that? What am I doing that? Simple. I'm off to the gym. I'm going to see friends. I'm recording the podcast. But my parents have the wall calendar, and then everybody can freely add what they're doing on the wall calendar, so everyone can see. And I was just like, but my mum will be like, well, what are you doing? Why does it matter? I don't live in this house. Does it matter?
Yeah, but my parents also have a wall calendar, and they do. This wall calendar is filled up with so many scribbles of different things, but it's nothing significant because my parents don't actually do anything apart from every day they go to a different supermarket.
Yeah.
Doctor's appointments and supermarkets.
My biggest bugbear with, I suppose, it's more just with paper versions of calendars.
Yeah.
Right? Birthdays. So my mum will write all the birthdays on. So, you get to the wall calendar, you look at the day and you go, oh, look, it's such and such's birthday. Damn it, I didn't get him a present. Whereas I have their birthdays in a calendar, in an electronic calendar, and then it has a reminder for 2 weeks in advance. So I go, oh, it's such and such's birthday in 2 weeks, so I can get it.
Now I need to sort something out. Present card. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, paper calendars.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9. I can't. This is going to be fun. Crocs. The shoes. The shoes, I'd like to point out, not the amphibious.
Yeah, amphibious. They are amphibians.
Yeah, are they?
Amphibians.
I was just checking that was the right word. Reptiles, that's it.
Sorry, reptiles.
Yes.
I apologise now to my biology teacher. I apologise to Mr. Morris. Was it Mr. Morris? I can't remember.
My biology teacher.
Let me just refer to my notes. WTF.
Yeah.
Exclamation mark. WTAF with 2 exclamation marks, and then WTAFF with a question mark and an exclamation mark. I think that tells you all you need to know.
I think we're going to get a lot of haters from this section of the
really?
podcast.
So, flying saucers, the sweet flying saucers?
Yes.
Right. So you've got that really almost blood-curdling powder in the middle. I've forgotten what it's called.
Sherbet.
Oh, sherbet, thank you. And it's coated in this foam.
I always feel like it's like, those are eating like polystyrene bits.
Yeah, it's polystyrene. Okay, so you're just chucking those on your feet. And they look awful.
Yeah.
And they've got holes in them.
So I think I said this to you. Even though they've got holes in them, I would imagine if you wore them without socks, you would get really sweaty feet because there's no it's not a porous material. You know what I mean? It's not a breathable material.
They've got holes in them, but those holes don't do it.
Because the sole of your foot is still going to be like squished against a non-breathable material, so they're going to get really sweaty. Yeah. So you have to wear them with socks, and then that's the equivalent of wearing socks with sandals, isn't it? Which is just wrong on multiple levels.
Crocs are, and this is the last thing I'm going to be able to say on Crocs. They are so offensive to all of my senses, in particular. In particular, my sense of sight. They are so offensive that I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff I can say.
Yeah,
I would like to say, but I can't say on air.
I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, but they're comfortable, and I'm like, yeah,
I don't care.
It's seeing people in Crocs and like jogging bottoms, looking like they've just walked out of.
Look. Nobody would like to see me dressed up like Borat in a mankini with socks and formal shoes like he did that time when he was promoting his film. Okay, that's deeply offensive. If I was to walk around wearing that outfit, that mankini, people say, "Oh, damn, you need to sort that out. You need to sort yourself out, mate." And Crocs are as offensive as that.
Yeah.
So there's no point me saying, "Oh, well, I like my mankini," Stuff you if I'm offending you with my mankini. Well, let me tell you something, people. You offend me when you wear Crocs. I'm offended.
I think it's just how ridiculous. I just think they look ridiculous. Yeah, I agree.
Not that I feel too strongly about this. I'm on the fence on this. I don't mind one way or the other.
Supposed to be button.
When I say on the fence, I mean I'm offense as in I'm offended.
And I just yeah, it's like when I go traveling, I don't wear like sweatpants or jogging bottoms and Crocs. I wear normal shoes and jeans and a t-shirt because I'm still out in public.
Yeah, that's another thing. When people go on holiday, what do they think? They go to another country, they think, oh, because people don't speak English, it's like, well, they won't understand when I'm talking English. Does that also translate to my clothing? Yeah. They can't see me. It doesn't matter what I wear. Yeah. And people wear the most stupid things on holiday.
Airports are hilarious. I love people watching at airports. That's one of my favourite things. It's like, what are you wearing? What are you drinking? It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
There's somebody in a mankini.
Somebody in a mankini. Yeah. Somebody else ordering a cocktail. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, people just lose the plot. They just lose the plot. Crocs. I don't have strong opinions on them at all.
I tweeted the other day. I had some absolute idiocy on the road. So much so I was like, when somebody does something stupid, you have to beep your horn to let them know that you're there. I couldn't even just because somebody had done something so stupid. I just kind of just sat there, was like, what? And I just tweeted and said, my ability to be kind to the human race is severely tested by the complete imbeciles that I have just witnessed.
And I bet you they were wearing Crocs.
Probably.
They were.
I
guarantee you they were.
I know I'm going to get so much stick for this section from somebody. I mentioned somebody has been listening to the first episode quite late. They listened to it this week, and I mentioned them. I said that they've come up with the chat room. I know that she wears Crocs. I know that she thinks they're brilliant. She's like, so.
Well,
that's it. Friendship gone.
That's fine, but you would offend me less if you came over to my house.
Yeah.
Punched me in the face, and then urinated all over my really nice Persian rug, and walked out. I would be less offended.
And knowing her, she would do it.
And that's fine, so long as she doesn't do it in Crocs. Just don't wear Crocs.
Oh man! Right, before we offend more people.
Yeah.
Number 10. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Mallorca. I love it. Oh, I love Mallorca.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Wouldn't get fed up with the tourist season?
Nope.
So you're a heat. Yeah, I was going to say, I've got... What did I write down? Oh, I didn't write it down on this page.
See, I was trying to think of where you would say. I thought, will Dom go for warm climate, cold? I think you'll go for something a bit different. I imagined you were going to say something like, I don't know, I would hazard a guess like Japan or just somewhere different.
I've got 2 written down.
Okay.
Switzerland.
See, that's different. Yeah.
Or the Maldives.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the 2 are very similar. Whenever I think of Switzerland, I also always automatically think of the Maldives. Yeah. Where are you going on holiday? Oh, the Maldives, Switzerland. Yeah.
I've only been to
Polynesia.
Switzerland. I've been to Switzerland. I've not been to the Maldives.
Why Switzerland?
I don't know. It's Lake Geneva is one of the most beautiful places I've been. And so that they each have their different merits. Like Switzerland is from an economy perspective and job perspective and just the way they organize things. Very, very good. Same with like Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Toblerone. As Jeremy's just presented a Toblerone to me on screen for the listeners. One of the best things ever.
Oh, I love Toblerone.
Have you seen the bear in the logo?
Yes. I was going to say, I only learnt about this. So everyone knew about it. I only learnt about it a couple of years ago.
I was today years old when I noticed the bear in the mountain and the Toblerone logo.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that, anywhere like Scandinavian countries and just where they've got things sorted out, and then the Maldives because the UK climate just sucks.
It sucks. It really does. I hate the UK. I mean, I'm looking out the window and it's grey. It's miserable. We get about a 4 to 6 week window of possibility of decent weather in this country.
Yeah, we get about 45 minutes of sunshine.
Yeah, we've lost that. So the whole of the summer holidays has just been a complete write-off. It's getting dark again in the evenings.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the summer camp we done, we did it about 3 weeks later than normal. And I noticed that it was getting darker, like the earliest it had ever been, and it was the coldest summer camp I'd ever been on.
It's just...
I wore shorts for one day because it was just too cold to wear anything but jeans. Even in the middle of the day, it was still sort of 17 degrees.
The weather in this country genuinely makes me angry. I can't talk about it. It genuinely makes me angry.
Just offends me.
It does. It offends me. Not as much as Crocs. That's a bit extreme, but it's not far off.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's why does it have to be so damn wet?
I don't know. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. You can't plan anything. You can't do anything.
I want a barbecue. Guarantee it's going to rain.
Yeah, it is. I'm just... Oh, no. Meditation.
This is why we're going to do the meditation. Is to try and make ourselves a little bit...
meditation.
Interestingly, I did write something down which I thought was a little bit different because I was thinking about this over summer camp. With not having friends with me. Some of my friends live in like Newcastle or like even just an hour and a half away. I still don't. If I move to a different country, I don't see them enough already.
Yeah,
I think that's probably like if I was to move to a different country, I'd be like, but can I take everybody that I know with me?
That would be good.
Yeah. The Maldives would be great because we could have an island each, which means if I didn't want somebody there, I can shut the island off. My island, go away. Nobody with Crocs on my island.
Yes. Anyone wearing Crocs will be
banned.
Fed to the Crocs.
Yeah. Or is it an alligator? How do you tell the difference?
You can't.
What one you'll see in a while and one you'll see later.
If you can't tell unless you're either David Attenborough or one of the Irwin family.
Sorry, my joke was really poor there.
Sorry, I missed that, Tom.
Tell the difference. One you'll see in a while and one you'll see later.
Oh, God. There you go. You've answered your own question. Sorry, I completely missed that joke.
I know you like a good joke.
A good dad joke.
Yeah,
Can't
good
go
dad
wrong
joke.
with a good dad
Good
joke.
dad joke. Oh, I must submit one for next week. Yeah, just shut the... Shall we... I don't know where we're going with this. But yeah, just shut the island to anybody wearing Crocs.
Yes.
Can't have Crocs on my island.
No.
But yes. And then can just go and swim across each island to see each other. Or was it aquaplane? Playing with like things on it.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
As long as, and I've got written down here, as you were prepared for the climate. Because being in the sunshine is great, but we like when it's hot in the UK, it sucks because our houses don't cope with it. Because they're built to, to deal with the normal UK climate, which is grey and cold and wet. So when it's hot, the houses just go in heat, and you just
brick insulated houses that are designed to trap the heat. Yeah, you just melt in them. It's
Yeah.
difficult. You can't cool down.
Yeah.
But when people say, "Oh, I wish I had air conditioning," yeah, fine. Go out and spend 50,000 on air conditioning your whole house
Yeah.
for the 1 or 2 days in the year in this country where it gets to about 30 degrees if you're lucky. I mean, for goodness sake, people need to get this into perspective. The weather in this country is awful. It sucks. It sucks.
I think
It's
we've
the
done
worst.
and we've done the seasons before. And they're all overrated
Yeah.
because everyone has this like Americanism of like winter's going to be full of snow and autumn is going to be like crisp leaves on the ground, and then and it's just like it just doesn't work like that.
No.
It's all American. and
UK
it's
weather, it's just the only thing you have to think of is that it's going to suck.
prepare for it.
But yeah, make peace with it. Right.
Right. Last section then. We haven't forgotten our conspiracy theory for this month. A little bit of a weird one, not really a conspiracy theory. I've gone more for like what do we think the future is going to be a bit like. But I found this video slightly interesting. So the video that we've got is it's called What's Hidden Under the Type 6 Civilization. Now bearing in mind that when you get to like type 1, you're a bit like, well, we're not even at like type 0.1 yet, I don't think.
Yeah, we're still type 0, and we're apparently at 0.16% if you had to measure it. Is what I got from the video.
Yeah.
It left me cold. I didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just didn't like it. I watched it and thought, oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
So the general premise of the video for the listeners is level 1 is basically we can get like maximum efficiency from all the resources that we have on the planet. So no power issues, everyone's happy, no ecological disasters, etc. And then it gradually goes up in terms of like level 2 is like in using the sun, level 3 is like using the stars, level 4 is like using
galactic superclusters.
Yeah.
And civilizations can change the laws of physics.
Yeah. And it was just this like, I suppose it's not really conspiracy theory. It's just our theory and our interpretation of this and where we think, billions and billions of years, where we think we'll get to.
So Dyson is all to do with Dyson spheres as well, wasn't it?
Dyson. Yeah, so Dyson sphere. So this is not Dyson that makes the Hoover. It's not James Dyson. It's, I can't remember his first name, but it was all about you put a Dyson sphere around a star and you can, the sun being a star as well, you can use the energy from that to and then when you have more energy, as energy increases, our technology like level exponentially increases, I think is the way it goes.
That's
into.
right. Yeah, energy is directly linked, is correlated to your innovation and maturity as a civilization. But look, the whole thing just leaves me cold. I made notes on some of the things that they said in the video, but I got to the end of it and thought, I actually don't know what I'm going to say to Dom about this. I don't have a clue, to be honest, because I was left cold and empty, and I made a note that just said, we live in this year 2021.
I love the way you had to look.
I had to look, but because I was going to say, shall I say the full date? I thought no. So 2021 AD.
We said at the beginning, 28th of August, isn't it?
Yeah, 28th, right? And you can't even get a burger in McDonald's before 11 o'clock in the morning. So there's no point talking to me about Dyson spheres and how much energy we harness in the sun. I just want a Big Mac at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I can't even do that. So if you're measuring where we are as a civilization, we are backward. We're in the swamp, primordial swamp. Oh, can I have a burger? No, sorry, we don't serve burgers until 11.
I mean, that's evident by all the supply chain issues we're currently having with the pandemic and other political notions that we won't mention because.
But on a serious note, I watched these videos and literally left thinking, oh, really? So what? Who cares? It's all a load of hypothetical rubbish. We have a pandemic, and the first thing the Prime Minister says is, but don't panic. And then the next day, there's no bog roll in any of the supermarkets. That's where we are as a civilization. Never mind, harnessing energy from the sun. We can't even control our urges to go to panicky urges. Oh my God. I'm going to go and buy, 100 packs of toilet roll.
I think we discussed this, didn't we, might have been yesterday, where we were sort of saying to all those people that mass bought loo roll at the beginning of the pandemic, what are you doing now? And we're just saying there's people in like Game of Thrones sized chairs made of like
made of toilet roll. But it's so annoying. For me, it's so annoying. We are, as a species, as a human race, we think we're all so superior. We're pathetic. We're pathetic.
Mentioned it earlier. The level of stupidity, the average human intelligence, I think, is a lot lower than we give credit for. And on top of that, I don't think we could ever get to that stage because we just aren't clever enough.
We'll reach type 1 diabetes before we get to type 1 civilization.
Yeah.
Because the amount of processed foods and sugar and crap that we also consume that we can't stop ourselves from consuming, says the man. Says the man that held up a
giant bar of Toblerone,
360 gram bar of Toblerone,
and was complaining you can't get a burger before 11 a.m.
The irony! The irony!
Interesting fact for you: the reason why you have to have gherkins in some of the McDonald's stuff is because if it didn't, the sugar content would be too proportionately high, and it would count as a dessert, and a dessert has more VAT. I don't know whether that's a fact. I'm sure someone's now going to tell me that that's now not. That's a myth that's been busted. But to be fair, it's probably something that could be considered true.
It could be. Nothing surprises me anymore. I do like gherkins though. McDonald's.
I do like gherkins.
What I love, you got to take friends and family to McDonald's so that everyone says,
gherkins. Give it to me.
All you do is you lift off the lid of your burger.
Yeah.
And you just sweep it round.
Yeah.
Go on. Plonk it on there.
Yeah.
Put it on the meat patty. Give it to me. Next thing you know, you've got about 12 slices of gherkin.
Yeah.
Put the lid back on. Enjoy.
But that I think makes the burger better, because the problem I find with gherkins is if you bite into a burger and you pull away, interesting fact, I've got a fake tooth.
We've gone from type 6 civilizations to gherkins.
This is much better. I've got my front tooth is crowned, so it's not a tooth. It's whatever they put on a crown, which means I can't. So I can't, when you bite sellotape to like split it, I can't do it because it just slides through.
Yeah,
because it's essentially fake.
I hate doing that.
Yeah, I have to use my incisor. But when I bite into a burger, when I get to the gherkin, it doesn't bite through the gherkin. So when I pull away, it just pulls the gherkin out. So I have 90% of my burger where it's nothing, and one bite where I have the entire gherkin in one. Whereas at least if you've got 12 other gherkins, when I do that, at least I've 12 bites it takes me to eat the burger.
Every bite,
perfect.
Yeah. You just put the gherkin slides out. You think it doesn't matter. I've got 11 other gherkins.
Yeah, amazing. I don't think we. I mean, I don't think we'll reach even level 1. I think
we'll never reach level 1.
Let's just stick with a campaign to get McDonald's to allow us to order Big Macs before 11 a.m. And if we achieve that, we've achieved 0.1 as a civilization, and Jerry will be happy.
Exactly that. Exactly. So let's set standards a bit lower. Stop panic buying, everybody. Stop being so bloody selfish. Okay? McDonald's serve burgers before 11 o'clock. What a ridiculous rule. Sunday trading's another one. Sunday trading hours. Right? What's with that?
That screwed me over when I went to summer camp, because I arrived on a Sunday. And then I finished putting up my tent at 4 o'clock, and I was like, I can't go anywhere because there are no small shops.
We have hardly made any progress since the 1800s in some areas. So type 1 civilization, you're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. We are. It's not even a pipe dream.
Yeah. I'll link the video for anyone that wants to know what we're talking about in the description of the podcast for both the Spotify, etc. listeners, and it'll be in the description on YouTube. So you'll be able to see what we're ranting about. Are we done? I think we are.
We are. Stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Stick a fork in me. I'm done. Last one. Final thoughts, Jerry?
Please don't wear Crocs.
Perfect.
You were waiting for something more poignant. I've already said my poignant bit about panic buying and toilet rolls and other things of, to mental well-being. So I'm going to end with this. Just stop wearing Crocs.
So we're going to be cancelled after this episode by the way that we're going. But hopefully we've been distinct. There's a lot of joviality. Just a garnish. Nice gherkin garnish.
A 12 gherkin garnish. Yeah.
Thank you ever so much to our listeners. We've had some great feedback, even on those that have listened to and watched the podcast slightly later. Please keep it coming in. We want to improve, but as we said, we're going to keep it dodgy, rough edges, because that's how we like it. And this is, as I said, no inner critics. This is just us having some fun. Thank you, Jerry. Again,
thank you, Dom. Really
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Big thank you to all our listeners. And honestly, I don't actually dislike Crocs that much. I apologise to all people that do like Crocs. I hope I haven't offended anybody. The views expressed are just strictly mine. Do not reflect any other views.
Yes. Or our companies.
Or companies.
Thank you ever so much. We will leave that podcast there. Stay safe, everybody, and we will catch you on the next one.
Yep. Take care, everyone.